I Am the Specialist of the Strange, written by Dakota Frandsen, narrated by Douglas MacArthur, published by Bonkers Network LLC. Section 5, Becoming the Man. Part 2, January 7th, 2012. Rumors of a possible spirit haunting the halls of a local elementary school lingered as my mother held a position at the playground for work. Initially, I tried to schedule the investigation close to when my mother first started working there, but her nerves about approaching the boss too quickly led to me having to hold back until this date. The principal was a family friend, and she happened to attend my grandfather's funeral, so seeing people she would trust under those circumstances helped open up the doors. The only major issue was that Censored had to come along due to needing my mother's keys and having no backup babysitter. I was against the idea at first, but figured at the very least having a kid around may stir up some activity. The building itself was recently celebrating its 100-year anniversary, and I was informed by the principal that the interior itself was renovated several occasions in that time frame. The investigation, however, proved to be rather dull, as all claims were disproved. Chatter in the basement was the rapid clicking of a water heater being twisted by a half-tired mind. Self-flushing toilets were lack of water pressure, and reports of hearing children at play were due to nearby families taking their kids to play on the grounds in the middle of the night. There were parts of the school I didn't have access to in order to disprove any claims. But all in all, the location was not haunted. Students at the school quickly spread rumors, but hopefully they stay just that. Research has shown it may be possible something may emerge if the kids believed in the rumors, causing a manifestation. January 27th, 2012. During my grandfather's funeral, I was able to land another case. The client was my grandmother's best friend from high school, who had mentioned her home was a possible paranormal activity, after my own ventures were brought up in conversation. It seemed the location was plagued by shadow people, voices in the night, and phantom feelings of being touched. It was also brought to my attention that several violent deaths were tied to that location, including one decapitated woman. At least 4 violent deaths occurred on the premises, the decapitated woman found in a ditch just outside the house. My interest in the location piqued, to say the very least. The house itself looked like an oversized shack that could have easily toppled over with a good enough windstorm, and it was surrounded by much farmland. Old wells were scattered on the premises. A long ditch ran for about a quarter of a mile from the residence. The entire place felt like the setting for a horror show to go down. It quickly proved to be one of the scariest cases I faced. The ditch outside, right where the body was found, started to glow by itself. This was enough to scare my skeptical uncle, who decided to tag along for this case. Voices kept trying to speak up, but barely audible enough to hear with the naked ear. Cold spots and phantom touching sensations were only the beginning. Evidence review cleared up some of the communications with the other side, but one EVP recording soon took the case to new heights, as it was a woman's voice saying she was inside the well. On the property, in the basement directly below where the tape recording was captured, was a sealed-off well. It had a metal plate with some kind of sun symbol on it, partially covered in cement. What in the hell was in there? I have little clue. But the thing is standing over that thing just felt like something evil was trying to drag you in. Evidence collected from this location is perhaps one of the strangest yet. Orbs reflecting off of metal surfaces, the voices, the strange lights. What the hell was going on? Further investigation was obviously warranted, if the client could have just stayed out of prison. One last question still lingers about: what the hell was my grandmother into to attract this kind of stuff? May 2012, I was informed by a mutual friend that Censored had gone missing, apparently leaving a note behind on Mother's Day of all days to tell her mother she had gone to live with her street family. Eventually, the student resource officer approached me, knowing that there was a point up until recently that Censored, and I seemed rather close, and, while he knew I had nothing to do with her disappearance, he asked if by any chance I had heard something. Obviously I didn't, having not spoke to her after the team broke up. But as he and I spoke, I noticed that another friend of Censored was watching intently, a look of panic coming over her. I knew right away she knew something, and would probably be the one link directly to Censored to figure out where she went. I utilized this connection to slowly feed information to Censored in order to trick her into thinking I was closing in her location, to either trick her into coming back or revealing where she was. Being new into the supernatural, I used my early knowledge of police investigation procedure of knowledge to slowly tighten the noose over the next couple weeks. Pairing divination methods my great-grandmother recommended, reported sightings, and simple deduction, I managed to get a good idea of where Censored ended up. She had left the state with some guy and headed south into Utah. I tried my best to use what I knew of remote viewing to get a rough idea of where she might have been staying, building description and all. When I'd felt confident in my findings, I would ensure that the friend would overhear that I was closing in. After 2 weeks of searching, it was within 24 hours of me announcing the city Censored was in that Censored would eventually call her mother to come get her. A part of me wanted to see if we could rekindle the old flame, but seeing how every had unfolded, it seemed she had some stuff of her own to work through before committing to anything big. I missed her, and the thought of her disappearance worried me greatly. It felt weird seeing her picture on a missing poster hanging on the wall of a local department store. But at least she was brought home safe. June 23rd, 2012. I found a website that hosts audio broadcasts for free, and contemplation began to start up my own radio show to help keep up appearances and boost my audience. For a while I ran with the title, Journals of Supernatural Adventure, and the basic premise was I would discuss ideas and theories on various phenomena. The show managed to stay afloat, and old recordings still float around on my old YouTube pages of nearly all the episodes I recorded. July 6th, 2012. First episode of Journals of Supernatural Adventure airs. Obviously, not many people listened in, given the show's new status and lack of funds to pay for marketing. Fall, 2012. During my first 2 years of high school, I went to school at Censored Bash. Honestly, I hated my time there, and during class registration periods, nearly all the courses I would choose would get removed from the curriculum. I honestly got tired of this happening because I had a rough idea of what I was wanting to accomplish in life, and what little they had to offer me in those regards kept getting pulled, so I knew if I were to actually have a chance to do what I wanted to do in life, I would have to leave. It was probably one of the best decisions in my life to trick my mother into signing me into Censored to finish out high school. Had I not done that, a lot of what follows in the next entries probably wouldn't have come together. Yes, it was an online school, but at least I would be taking lessons in subjects that actually interested me. October 10th, 2012. Phase 1 of scrapped documentary on the supernatural. Given the extensive nature of what I had yet to learn, it seemed better to just put this project on the shelf until more resources could be allocated for it. October 27th, 2012. JSA emergency broadcast for Censored case. Protection prayer asked of the audience for a family in turmoil. It was quickly proved the source of activity was a pissed-off dead mother-in-law who was not too happy with the unfaithful and abusive husband. Censored soon filed for divorce after I told her what to look for, basing my warnings on the actions of my own father when we started seeing my stepmother while still technically with my mother. Basically, he tried to write off my stepmother as a babysitter for me. Nevertheless, as much as I almost crossed professional boundaries, this case was a win. September 23, 2013. UFO fireball investigation. Green ball of light seen in the sky causes some property damage to homes in the area where the light disappeared. No media coverage, in spite of reports of an explosion and aforementioned property damage. Quickly ruled out as a meteor, rich in iron causing the green flames. Though likely unrelated, I personally saw possible men in black within the same week. 3 of them, sitting in black SUV, pulled up on a nearby street and just stared at me. No feeling of danger, more of a, you wanted to see us, now what, sort of vibe. I had been looking into alleged sightings out my own curiosity, but was not expected to have an actual encounter. Fall 2014, finishing touches on The Ones Who Walk All Worlds, a book series based loosely on my paranormal exploits and understandings of the phenomenon at the time. The book itself has undergone a couple different re-releases, the latest being a collection of all books released under the series as one title, The Ones Who Walk All Worlds, Origins. May 2014. I graduated high school and jumped straight into the workforce, rather than attend my graduation or any senior trips. It just felt weird being that I hardly ever actually saw other kids who were in my class, except when we had to go to a local hotel conference room to do our SATs. My mother tried reaching out to my counselor under the assumption I didn't want to do due to her chaotic work schedule, but it honestly couldn't be farther from the truth.